Hey guys, what's going on? Vega here from SerpentX Special Forces, and it is another episode of Caffeine and Crypto, a show that we do every Saturday around 12 p.m. before or after Red Panda mining, depending on when his baby wakes him up. This is a show where I normally talk about cryptocurrency, news, hardware, specs, releases, stuff like that. But I got a special guest on with me today, and it's actually Chris from Flexpool. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Chris and I have been discussing in the background for quite a while. He's actually been a supporter of the channel, so I really appreciate him coming in and hang out. Let me know in the live chat if you guys can hear Chris. But Chris, go ahead and start telling everybody, summary of how'd you got into mining and what you know so far about Flexpool itself.
So, last year in July, I heard about Bitcoin. I was like, how do I make some Bitcoin for myself? So I think like everyone, I Googled how do I make Bitcoin. I found NiceHash, and I started with NiceHash on my 2070 Super at home. I soon dug up my old 1070 card and added it to my computer, and then suddenly I was mining on 2 cards.
And I started building from there.
Yeah.
He was hooked.
So I basically YouTubed to try to find out more, and XSF Serpent was the first one I found. So I watched all your videos while driving. Basically, I would just listen to every single one of them to learn as much as possible. And honestly, things were making money, and I was looking at, let's say, a 9 months payback. So I decided to buy a few more cards, slowly expanded. I made a 5700 rig of like 8 different cards.
Good cards.
Yes, and then basically I just kept growing from there because I was making money, the ROI looked good. Joined Flexpool in, I think, November. Actually joined them as part of the staff in late January. They invited me to join them, and then I've just been working hard to make myself successful and make the pool successful.
When did Flexpool officially launch?
Ooh, tough question. I think, how do you say, it was under testing for quite a while. So I believe it was around April to May, but don't quote me on that.
Gotcha. And, Flexpool, I wouldn't say has a majority share of the network hash rate, but they definitely been vocal. I remember that website that posted out. So let me just summarize real quick, guys, for you that's joining us in the live stream. Thank you, everybody that's coming over from Red Panda Mining, by the way. Appreciate everybody. We're going to be talking about, obviously, EIP 1559, Ethereum, but more importantly, I'm going to talk about MEV, miner extracted value, or whatever acronym they have made up for it. So that's why I have Chris on here to help me understand a few things. So this is going to be educational purposes, not only for you, but for myself as well, and kind of a learning experience for all of us. Now, not too long ago, on March 9th, you guys mined your 1000th block. And to celebrate, you guys introduce MEV for miners, which is estimated to increase the revenues by 4 to 6%. Now, I want to remind you guys in the live stream, MEV was mentioned in a stream where it was, Bisbee Trippin, Son of a Tech, Red Panda Mining, Mining Chamber, iMine Blocks, the consensus group of the mining community together in this meeting, or listening to the meeting, right? Because Carter was in there and Chris was in there, and they were like, yeah, miners have the opportunity to get to earn a substantial profit, MEV. And then we're looking at each other, MEV? What are they talking about? So I didn't know about MEV. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know about MEV. However, that may have not been the case for others. So tell me a little bit about MEV, Chris, and let's talk about what exactly you guys have implemented.
So, giving you a bit of background, MEV has been around for quite a while. Going back, I think it was first announced in 2020 by one of the pools, and then I assume other pools adopted it. About 2 weeks before that community meeting, one of our miners in our Discord mentioned MEV to us, and we had no idea what he was talking about. And I guess it's our fault for not taking him too seriously and doing our research. So when I came to that meeting and MEV was explained to me, I was like, what is this? I've never heard of this. Right. So now, of course, I did more research, and we found flash bots, and we pushed the technology, we improved, because Flashbots is in closed alpha right now. So they've done like 20 different things, and they're developing all 20 at once. And we focus just on the one thing, which is the guest node that they released. So we added something called multiple bundle, which means that when you have these MEV transactions submitted, we can add more than one. So what you have when you fill a block is basically you have all these transactions that pay gas. So with MEV, we kick out one of those transactions that pays gas and put in the MEV one, we only do that when the MEV one pays more, so that the total award is bigger to our miners.
So, hang on one second. I need to wrap my head around this. All right. So, I'm going to read this. Popularly referred to as miner extracted value, MEV, the arbitrage strategy, sees bots identify and target trades. And I think we need to clarify the bots aspect, of which we discussed before. Identify target trades waiting in Ethereum mempools. The bots can use a few observed techniques to profit from a targeted trade. For one, a bot will find a profitable trade waiting in the mempool, then it will copy that trade and up the gas for its transaction. Now, that's a key word there. It will copy the trade and then up the gas price for that transaction. That way a miner will package its copy trade before the original can go through. So I have an analogy for you guys in just a second. After scraping the Ethereum blockchain starting from the first block of 2020, we found a total of at least 314 million worth, 540k ETH, of extracted MEV since January 1st, 2020. So that's a lot of value coming out of MEV since the beginning of 2020. Now, first thing I want to highlight is I don't understand bots, right? So it's Savage Mind called it arbitrage bots, but it looks like it's an arbitrage strategy that sees bots identify these particular transactions, and then the bots themselves or the individuals. That's where I'm confused at. The bots themselves or the individual copy the trade and end up upping the gas price for its transaction. So go ahead.
So what we've seen working with Flashbots, because remember, Flashbots is just one MEV system. There's probably quite a few different ones. But since Flashbots is in closed alpha, you only have a few people actually using it. And the people submitting MEV transactions are probably quite cautious right now because it's a closed alpha. So they're only submitting a few and they're watching them personally. So they do have bots, but it looks like they're approving them manually before the bot actually tries one of these MEV transactions. I assume once things are open and everything is perfected, then they might actually just let their bots do the work and not do it themselves.
Okay, so in essence, and forgive me if my analogy doesn't come across well for the people watching on live. In essence, right? Say I'm a medium wealthy person. I have a Lamborghini, and I pull up to a restaurant or top-notch facility, and they have a valet. So there's cars in front of me, right? Hyundais, Toyotas, whatever. The cars in front of me. I pull up. I give the valet $100 to deal with my car first. So I'm trying to get them to deal with my transaction first. So I up the gas price. But from what you're seeing, there's an actual individual that's confirming, yes, I want to up the gas price in order for my transaction to be completed first.
Yes, I mean, the bot, what I think happened, because I don't have one of these bots, so I don't know what's on their screen, but from what I've seen talking to them, it seems like the bot will point out opportunities, and they'll be the human in the middle that approves taking that opportunity.
Okay.
But I assume they will remove themselves from the middle once they know the system works fine and the bot works well.
Interesting. So here's some transactions that we talked about. What are these right here that I've highlighted in orange? These are small transactions, only 0.024 ETH. What are these transactions right here?
So, as you know, when you load a block, the block pays gas, and that gas is what the pool spreads out among the miners. So with MEV, you don't have that gas. What you have is a direct payment to the pool's wallet. So you'll see that transfer 0.024. That's basically the direct payment to Flexpool's wallet that we distribute to our miners.
Interesting. And here's another one here in yellow. 0.0087. But then one that you recently shared my lights on 14 hours ago. How big was this transaction you said?
Quite big. With this one, because our guest node allows us to load multiple MEVs, that means we can profit from more than one. So on this block, we actually had 3 MEV transactions. And this specific one was 1.54 ETH. Thank you, whoever sent that MEV and gave us 1.54. But there was 2 others, so this was actually a 1.7 ETH bonus to our miners.
Wow, so dang. Okay. Yeah. So I might be switching my miners over to Flexpool. So, all right. This is a lot to unpack, considering I got a question for you, and you may not know the inner workings around MEV and implementation on the pool side, which is what I'm actually curious about. And I believe we talked about that online or offline. But you guys posted on March 9th that you kind of celebrate we're introducing MEV for our miners, right? So hey guys, we're starting to utilize MEV on our pool. From the time we had the meeting where we first found out about MEV, because apparently we were just late to the party and other people knew. Am I correct in that? Do you know of any other pools, not specifics, that may be using MEV and approximate time frames?
At least 5 of the top 20 pools.
At least 5 of the top 20 pools have already been using MEV. Wow. Okay.
For a while, yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, was there a bulletin? Was there a memo that I just missed and I just didn't hear about? I just don't understand why we found out during this live dev meeting about MEV in the first place. So 5 of the top 20 pools.
It's something like, you know how you have cars and between one year and another, the manufacturer might add like 5 horsepower. Like, if you actually Googled it, you'd find it out, but you don't really notice that difference in 5 horsepower. Pools have been announcing MEV systems, just we as miners haven't really noticed them announcing.
Okay.
And of course, because we don't get any of the income, we don't really notice the new technology.
Gotcha. All right, so as a miner, and that's one of the things that I personally need to get better at, because I'm working a full-time job, I have a family, it's hard to keep up with everything, and with all the various projects and cryptocurrencies out there, it would really behoove us as a whole to kind of monitor everything, right? So upcoming forks, project changes, rebrandings, whether pools are implementing X, Y, and Z, like all of that stuff. And sometimes pools every once in a while will actually take away their fees for like whatever reason. And you can actually, swap to that pool and get a pretty decent profitable amount by swapping to that pool. But I always try to strive for the pools that, one, are not holding 51 or close to 50% of the network hash rate, and 2, have at least a decent amount of hash rate. We need to get Flexpool up a little bit more, but I just don't think a lot of people know about flexpool.io. So hopefully this video will help spread the love and show show them that there's another alternative besides the top. But the top 5 pools, well, not the top 5, but 5 of the top 20, or do you say top 10?
20.
Top 5 of the top 20 is using MEV. And
MEV, when I say MEV, I'm referring to a big cloud of technologies, because there's also arbitrage, and MEV sometimes takes advantage of arbitrage, but also there are ways that arbitrage can be used directly by pools, and I know at least one pool that is doing that directly.
Okay. Interesting. That's very interesting. And some of these pools, I mean, according to this, even right here, public information, this has been implemented for quite some time, and we're already past a year, and some of us didn't find out until recently. So that's very interesting to me. I can't speculate on which pool is what, nor do I need to. It's just very interesting that I missed the memo and just completely missed out on it. So EIP 1559. Let's move on. MEV is very interesting. Is there any other details that you would like to discuss regarding maybe the pool's implementation or MEV in general, or no?
I do want to point out one thing. MEV means that a space that would be occupied by a transaction that pays gas is instead occupied by the MEV. So that means the miners on the pool lose that gas. But if the MEV is going to them, of course, they make more money overall. But what happens with MEV is that we block the MEV transactions that pay less than the gas we would make from some of those. So we're only loading 1 or 2 MEVs, but there might be, let's say, 8 in the background. So that's because we want to maximize the gas on our blocks. But post 1559, we don't get paid gas anymore.
Right.
So the reason MEV is so attractive is that we're paid a direct bribe instead of gas. So post 1559, MEV is so important because then we can just kick off all the gas and just fill our blocks with MEV. Gotcha.
And do you have to? You don't get to choose? You don't get to choose. The specific transactions in general, right? It's up in the air, and whatever pool gets it, or what?
Well, each block mine has. It's like. It happens very quickly, but each block mine basically has a second to look at the whole market and pick up what it wants to add to the block, and then send it out. So what happens is we all obviously have a very, very quick system which finds what makes the most profit and assembles it on the block and then sends it out.
Nice. Interesting. So post EIP 1559, MEV is because gas is going to get burned. MEV is going to be the way to, I guess, maintain profitability.
I honestly, what I'm seeing now is huge. Because remember, right now Flashbots is in closed alpha. Once it's really out there and really getting a lot of people contributing MEV, I can see, like you saw, there was a 1.5 ETH on our block, and that's just one MEV transaction. So imagine if we have 5 of those on a block, we'd be making more than we would
with regular gas, yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, MEV is huge. If the market really heats up and MEV starts happening everywhere, I could see us making more money after 1559. It's a crazy possibility, I should say.
There was a question here from Queen of Random, but I'm trying to understand here. Okay. So I guess the question was addressed. Yeah, if you're trying to get my attention, at me or something like that, or send me a super chat. But I want to focus on the topic because I only have an hour with Chris. I want to try to get as much information and education. I'm educating myself because I don't really understand, and I don't want to misrepresent anything. And there's been actually a lot of misinformation. Matter of fact, let's talk about that. So ever since Red Panda Mining's tweet, right? So, for educational purposes, let's collectively move our hash to Ethermine April 1st for 51 years. Now, April 1st, maybe a few people saw this and thought it was a joke because April 1st is, April Fool's. But no, it was serious. And this tweet got so much attention. And you can see on the right here, Bits Be Trippin'. He kind of got he became the face of this thing because of a video he posted afterwards, kind of trying to provide more explanation or information to the general public, but it still seems to not sink in. The point of this, from my understanding, is not to attack the network, but to complete what Micah said. Now, Micah said specifically, and I'm just going to add some corrections here. Micah said, if we can show that the miners can collectively show that the security is a concern because the hash rate of one pool overtakes, like if we move all the Ethermine and this pool started to get close, at least over 40% is what he said. But he said only for a couple of hours. Red Panda said 51 hours. But if we could collectively show that this needs to be on their radar instead of, kind of like a conversation in passing. You heard it, but you're not really paying attention to it. The security of network is of the utmost importance. I know a lot of people will argue we're overpaying for security. I don't agree with that sentiment, but I understand their perspective. It is a lot. When I try to do a transaction, when I did the 5 and 4K giveaway, just trying to get money to you guys, the winners, was freaking ridiculous. I had a number of transactions get stuck because I didn't pay enough gas, so I had increased the gas. Then I looked at the chart, the gas price chart, just to find a good time in which to send these transactions, which is sad, right? During the weekdays is like the worst time to send it, especially during market hours, which is, like the normal stock market hours, like 9 a.m. to after hours, 6 p.m. is like the worst time. That's when the ETH is at the highest. And it's still climbing. But I understand their perspective. I just don't understand what the mindset of we're overpaying for security. So with that sentiment and kind of, brushing the miner aspect off, or miners off, which is at least how I felt. I could be wrong, but that's how I felt listening to the discussion with Bits and Chris when they were making points and the meeting, and they just kind of moved on. All right, whatever. The network math, at least from my understanding, it is possible that the incentives weren't there. Miners would leave, dropping the network hash rate, and right now we're at let's say 440 terahash, and that can make the network susceptible to a 51% attack. But nobody wants to believe that. Nobody thinks that's true. Now, maybe their math is a little bit better than mine, but I don't know every detail. I don't know how many ASICs are on. I don't know what companies producing ASICs are mining Ethereum. I don't know the total GPU hash rate. I don't know a lot of things, so I can't put the math together. I think Bits actually did, and it showed that it was a concern, and when he tried to present the data, he didn't have enough time to do so, which is why he made his own stream and stuff like that, which you can watch Bits Be Trippin'. I'll post the link in live chat. So anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that security is of the utmost importance. This tweet was really to show, okay, yeah, if one pool can get 40%, over 40% of the network hash rate, security needs to be more of a concern. You guys need to pay more attention to this. Not a 51% attack. He wasn't trying to incite people to attack the network. That's not what it was. But media and news outlets took it and ran with it. And that's quite unfortunate. Matter of fact, I'm going to play one. I'm going to play a video for you guys. You ready for this, Chris? I'm going to play a video for you guys, and then me and Chris will probably respond to it. But the biggest thing that you guys need to understand is it does not lower fees. For the 10,000th time, it doesn't lower fees. EIP 1559 does not lower fees. Stop saying that. I've seen that so many times in this freaking tweet. It's driving me up the wall. Anyways, I'm going to play this video. And I know some of you are going to get mad. Please be respectful. Don't curse in a live chat. I don't try to keep it child or family friendly here. But I'm going to play this for you. Let me know if it's too low or you can't hear it.
Flexpool has been very loud about the fact they do not want EIP 1559. Too bad, nerds.
Oh, God.
In a world where there's no such thing as bad publicity, Flexpool has certainly garnered a lot of attention with their message of stop ETH speculators, respect the miners. You can't even with this crap. What do these idiots think drives the price of Ethereum? Their math-solving skills? I would have them know, by the way, I was always the first one done with my math tests in elementary school. But all I ever got for it was dirty looks. Speculation drives this entire market. Even our arch nemesis F2 pool knows that. They were the only large mining pool on Ethereum to come out in favor of 1559. Why? Because we know they like money. They should subscribe to the channel. Point is, as Ethereum mining goes away and is replaced by proof of stake and validator nodes, it's in the best interest of Ethereum miners to see the overall price move upwards. That makes all the ETH they've mined and stacked over the years more valuable. So let's check and see what Flexpool has been doing about this. Dumping, of course. Can't make this stuff up. Look at what happened from the date of the infamous EIP 1559 tweet from Flexpool, January 14th. After not selling any Ethereum in almost a year, they started going ham with selling. No shocker here. After pitching what can only be known as a hissy fit, they started trying to harm you, the Ethereum investor.
Loaded all kinds of wrong there, but okay. Anyways, so Chris, anything you want to talk about on that?
I mean, I think what really stuck out to me is that he said Flexpool is manipulating the market, which is hilarious. We grew from, I believe, 17 gigahash at the start of January to about 1 terahash by the end of February. So, yes, we have a lot more ETH, but that's just because we're mining a lot more ETH. We're not deliberately manipulating the market and trying to keep ETH prices down. There's no conspiracy here.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't BitBoy a crypto trader?
I'll be honest, I've never heard of him before someone posted it to YouTube and said we were mentioned.
Yeah, let's go do some quick research real quick. What is BitBoy? He's got a lot of subscribers. Don't care about your opening video, thank you, sir. Latest and greatest thoughts, opinions, things Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, video per day, yada yada yada. What are you talking about? Yeah. Looks like a bunch of trading videos to me. Alright, so he talks about various cryptocurrencies, maybe trading, what's popping, what's not. Not a miner. Key thing there. Not a miner. But okay, he has his opinion. Congratulations. He got his limelight, so to speak. But this stuff right here just annoys me, okay? Why? Because we're not throwing a hissy fit. Now he says he's throwing shade at Flexpool specifically, but it's miners as a whole. Now I want you to understand something. I cannot say that Flexpool represents all miners. I can't say Ethermine represents all miners. I can't say X, Y, and Z, this person, that person represents all miners, because that's not true. Bisbee Trippin does kind of have the miner community behind him as a backing or support, but he doesn't represent all miners, right? We all do our own different things. There's GPU miners, there's ASIC miners, there's FPGA miners, but we are miners as a whole. This whole attack on miners and the lack of respect for miners is what really drives me up the wall. And I think that's honestly what most of us were upset about. Is, okay, well, we're trying to point out something to you that you guys should pay attention to, but instead you're not. Chris, I'm gonna let you take it away real quick as my boss. Talk more about it.
So I think one of the biggest misunderstandings here is that when we talk about gas, people who don't mine call them miner fees. They think we drive up gas, that we deliberately tell them, basically deliberately try to charge as much as possible. We don't decide the gas, they decide the gas. They decide how busy the network is going to be. They're the ones that constantly trade ETH back and forth. We're not seeking to drive up gas fees. If anything, I think ETH miners want gas to be lower because then more people use the ETH network, because we don't want to see ETH fail.
Sorry about that. Duty calls. See, I'm on call pretty much once a month. And I still do these shows because I'm trying to make sure that the community has an understanding of certain things. So what did you just say? Give me a quick summary, because I've had to put my headset down.
I was pointing out that I feel like a lot of people are trying to drive up hatred against miners because we know it's gas. It's the charge the network charges. But a lot of people are saying miners are responsible for gas, that we drive up gas prices, that gas goes directly to us, and we're greedy and we're trying to steal people's money by trying to drive up their transaction fees. I mean, we don't control any of this. We didn't design the ETH network. And I think miners actually want gas to go down because they want to drive adoption of ETH. As a miner, I'm not actually comfortable seeing gas go this high, and I actually support it going lower.
Well, didn't Savage say something about that in the live chat? That MEV. So after yeah, so if more money is made off of MEV post 1559, that means transaction fees will be more than they are now.
I personally don't believe so. I'm not an expert here, but MEV is just a transaction that would have happened anyway, I think. So we're just it's a direct bribe to us. So I don't think it would drive up gas. If anything, I'm hoping 1559 lowers gas, but again, I don't think 1559 will lower gas. It'll just make things a bit more stable, and some of the improvements in 1559 I do agree with and support. It's just the overall I don't support.
Yeah, and which is why other proposals were made, and we're going to go over a different proposal that was just made the other day, but finish your statement. Sorry to cut you off.
So in the end, I do think gas needs to go down, and I actually support. There's been some proposals that do help gas go down, and I've talked about those to the developers. The developers seem to want to push people into L2, and I do see L2 taking off a bit, but I haven't seen widespread adoption of L2, which is unfortunate.
So layer 2 is what you're referring to, right?
Yes.
So one of the things I want to point out is that the fee situation and the high transactions or high fees is probably not going to be addressed until then. Which, when do we even know? Is layer 2 not coming until proof of stake, right? ETH 2.0.
I mean, there are L2 solutions out there, but it's up for people to adopt them, like Coinbase, Kraken, etc. They need to all adopt these L2 solutions. Like, if you're sending a single ETH transaction, of course, the gas will be high if you're sending 1,000. But let's say Coinbase sees that, let's say, 100 transactions a minute are going to Kraken. They could send those in a batch and just pay one gas fee instead of 100 gas fees. But it's up to them to adopt that solution. In the end, it's up to all these exchanges and wallets, etc., to adopt solutions to lower gas. It's not really up to miners, because we just maintain the system.
Right. And so how long the Bits has been mining Ethereum since 2015. I've been mining Ethereum since 2016, 2017, something like that. And a lot of miners have been supporting the network. Do you feel the EIP 1559 personally, just forget the Flexpool situation, just you personally, do you see EIP 1559 as miners don't matter, or we don't care about the miners as a whole, or no?
I think what happened is EIP 1559 has been years in the making, and when it was designed, gas was nothing, so it didn't really matter too much. But the problem is that EIP 1559 spent years being introduced, so by the time it's being introduced now, it's a completely different ballgame. You have basically blocks of 4 or 5 sometimes. So with EIP 1559, you basically have doubled the mining community because you didn't introduce it sooner, and now you're telling the whole mining community to take a pay cut of half. So what we're seeing here is that this proposal made sense 2 years ago, but now it's being introduced, and miners are saying, why aren't you modifying this a bit to deal with the current situation today?
Right. So there was a proposal made. It originally started out as EIP 3368, and it's a proposal that Bits Be Trippin', or Michael Carter and Micah have been working on, and it's transitioned to EIP 3370. And you have to forgive me, guys. I got an executive escalation I got to deal with. So, Chris, you might have to talk a little bit for me. But I just want to talk about this. So, this proposal is a proposal only. It hasn't been accepted. Where we're asking the block reward increase to be 3, right? So, instead of 2, which is what it is right now, we're going to increase the block reward by 1 to a total of 3, with a decay to a total of 1 ETH over a 2-year schedule. Now, on here, you don't see it, but in conversation, one of the things mentioned was if Ethereum price dramatically drops, right, if there is a huge drop in Ethereum price, that they could rescind this proposal. I don't know what the parameters are of that. And Carter, That's one of my questions. If this proposal is accepted, and say for example Ethereum pricing right now is at 1800 and it drops to 15, 13, what is the percentage, what are the parameters, what are the variables that will make them decide, okay, well we're sending this, we're not reneging, but it's built in, that if the price drops it would go to this. Now I could be incorrect about that, but Carter, that's what one of my questions that I had during our conversation privately, and I don't fully understand, and I apologize if you explained it and I missed it, but I want to know that if this is accepted and the price drops for whatever reason, what are the variables or parameters in which they would be like, okay, well we got to take we're taking this away. But this 2-year schedule, I think Chris mentioned, some people wouldn't agree with. Anything you want to talk about? And if you could talk about anything, I could put anything on the screen that you wanted. If you want, you could share your screen. But I got to respond to this work situation I got going on.
No problem. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to take over. So this proposal, Bitsby Tripping is the one pushing this forward, but this proposal, the declining block reward until 2.0, has been discussed actually for a while. I saw Vitalik mention it about a month ago, and I assume he probably heard it from someone else too. So what happens here is that the ETH community and the core devs are wondering, before 2.0, what are we going to do? We don't really want a giant GPU sell-off, and we don't want like a ton of people going to NiceHash because that leads to a chance of attack before the merge. So this proposal of a declining block reward isn't really about 1559. This is about how can ETH protect itself and ensure a gradual and smooth transition into 2.0. And what you're seeing discussed now in the ETH developer chat is actually, come the merge, what are we going to do? Are we going to dramatically increase the block reward to make sure hash rate stays on? Are we going to create a side chain so that mining actually continues for, let's say, 3 to 6 months after the merge? Because they don't want hash rate to dramatically decrease right before the merge, because they think if people know that GPU mining on ETH is dead, let's say in a week or two, there'll be a huge GPU sell-off, and they don't want that because then there's less hash rate protecting the network. And with the decrease from 3 to 1, what's also there is because EIP 1559 brings a drop in miner reward of half. And they're confident that that will be safe, but they're not 100% sure. And this is a giant decrease. So generally, in any situation, you don't want a giant decrease. You want a gradual decrease because you don't know what's going to happen if there is a sudden change. Sudden changes tend to be bad. So with the decline from 3 to 1, they have a gradual change, and that is much easier to observe. And if there is a risk coming up during that gradual change, that gives them time to respond to it. A sudden change doesn't give them time to respond. And they're worried that if something comes up after that sudden change, they won't have time to implement it before there's already an attack or some kind of problem. So with the declining block reward, miners, of course, support it. But the community itself, I know members of the community that aren't miners are okay with a declining block reward. They actually like the idea. They're just against the 2-year timeline. It seems like the community says that 2.0 is coming in a year, which I personally don't believe. I think 2.0 is going to be around 2 years away. But that being said, they think it should be over a 1-year period, which means that instead of paying a 2 reward all the way to 2.0, it goes from 3 to 1, which to them, because they're looking at paying the minimal for miners. So for 3 to 1, that means they're paying us more today, but less tomorrow. So to them, it's an okay situation because they're not paying anything more. But of course, miners say, what if 2.0 is 2 years away? So then we're stuck with a year of being paid 1.
Right.
So anyway, I think it's really about how will this proposal get the community on board, not just miners. Miners are officially part of the community right now. They did just update their website to add it because we submitted a EIP to add it. But anyway, it's not just about getting miners on board. It's about getting ETH holders, exchanges, all the stakeholders in this community together on board with this proposal. And I strongly suspect the 2 years is not going to be popular among the community. But we might be able to see, let's say, a 1.5 year period. I think that's probably the middle ground that everyone could accept. And the only way it would pass is if people believe this gradual change is safer for the network than a decrease from, let's say, the 4 reward today to the 2. And also, if they're not actually paying any more money, because in the end, if we were paying 2 ETH for the next 2 years, a declining one would just even out to the same amount of ETH overall.
So, with this proposal, you mentioned it's not so much the miners, but the community as a whole that has to get on board with this particular proposal.
Exactly.
Some of the things that I've been seeing online is, and I'm multitasking here, bear with me guys. Some of the things that I see online is that ETH 2.0 may be expedited, but with that being expedited, one of the concerns is properly testing and making sure DApps and DeFi and various outlets or parts of the ETH community will actually function. Like if you rush something, you're liable to mess up. When I was in construction, anytime I rushed through a job, I made a mistake, and that mistake will actually filter down through the next person that comes after me. Because when you're a trim carpenter, putting in doors and everything fresh in a freshly built house, maybe the painters or the guys after me will have a bigger problem to deal with just from my small issue, just because I rushed. So I tend to make sure I do my job and do it right. That's just the way I carry myself. So if they rushed this ETH 2.0, trying to rush it because of what the miners are collectively talking about online regarding this April 1st thing, which is again rescinded. So I believe people are not participating. You're still welcome to switch over to the Ethermine or Flexpool and get that hash rate and MEV. But do you think they're gonna expedite ETH 2.0 now because of what we did, or what the community as a whole did?
I know there is a lot of anger among the non-miner community right now. But I don't think there's going to be a rush, because that would be bad for the confidence in ETH. Again, with any cryptocurrency, it's all about confidence. People have to be confident it'll work. And with 2.0, that's a massive technical change. This needs to be tested over and over. Because, you have like a million different moving parts in 2.0. It's an incredibly ambitious project. You do not want to be rushing this. And once it's running, you don't have time to fix things, because now it's working, and I think it's processing 100 times more transactions than 1.0. You don't have time to fix things. You can't just take something offline and fix it once it's launched. So no one is going to be in favor of rushing 2.0. It would be very bad for confidence in ETH if 2.0 was rushed. And honestly, I'm surprised it's even being discussed, because rushing something is not something that gives you confidence in it. In the end, 2.0 has been years in the making, and you do not want to have a failure at the very end. So what I think is happening is that news articles are taking one statement and, of course, doing what news does. But I do not think 2.0 is going to be rushed, and I don't think 2.0 being rushed is going to be justified unless there is a significant threat. I do not think there is one yet, and I think miners have actually, because again, after the Stop 1559 movement came out, the developers actually opened up a channel for us to discuss with them, and we've been discussing with them, I'd say, for the past 4 weeks, peacefully with them, about how we can move forward EIPs. They've actually been very nice and very supportive of us pushing forward EIPs. That would make us happy with 159 if the EIPs were coupled together. So I haven't had a hostile relationship with the developers so far. They're not, I would say some of the developers are not too happy paying miners, but they get that it has to be done. So they're just seeking a way that we can be happy with 1559. And as long as we put forward EIPs that are not too controversial for the community, I think they're okay putting them in as long as it's not a huge change to ETH.
Sorry, I was that a question to me? I'm sorry.
No, no problem.
Okay.
You're busy. I'll keep talking.
No, so yeah, like so. All right. My role, I just got to make sure I establish contact. So contact has been established, so I can focus on this until the end and then get back to work. But this is what makes it hard in my life, and I know I'm not the only one, right? We're all adults or maybe young individuals. We got a life to live, and then we got to keep up with everything that's happening in the crypto world, and it's hard to do that, especially if we look at all the cryptos here. So I fail miserably at that, and I do apologize. But whatever information I am educated on, I try to share. So I want to kind of wrap up this video because I kind of got hurried. I did not plan to have this happen to me, but unfortunately it did. So I hope you guys got some useful information out of it. Hopefully we could drop some more. Chris could drop some more on you, but security is important. And if you have the mindset that you don't have to pay, if I have a warehouse with millions of dollars worth of equipment, right? And I just want to secure it with maybe some Ring cameras and a Ring doorbell. You bet your bottom dollar there's going to be an exploit. Somebody's going to figure out where the holes are in that security, break in, and start to steal your equipment. So why pay the cheap alternative for securing your building when you can pay a much better company? Yeah, it costs more, but you can rest assured, you can sleep well, having that peace of mind that your building and your hardware are secured. The concept or mindset of we're already paying too much for security or we overpay for security, that's a moot point and just needs to be removed from the discussion. Just like the word compromise needs to be removed from the discussion, overpaying for security needs to be removed. Right now we need to focus on how can we effectively, as a community, Ethereum community, because we're not just miners. I don't know about you, but I participate in DeFi, DApps, I mine. I use those profits from mining to participate in other ways throughout the community. NFTs, which by the way, I have an NFT that I'm selling. Like these are different ways to participate in the community. So we as a community need to work together. I don't know why there's this divide of crypto traders, investors, venture capitalists are on one side and miners on the other side, and now everybody's hating us. And everybody's hating us from different aspects or perspectives, which kind of sucks. We got the gamers hating on us because they think we're buying all their graphics cards, which is completely untrue, okay? I want you to know, yesterday, that Best Buy drop got ate up. It wasn't by miners. Maybe a miner or two was able to grab a few, but it was bots. Bots are the problem. There's high demand, low supply. People who used to sell Nike and Supreme and all these different apparels have decided, hey, I can make more money with this. So they're scalping this hardware and then they're selling it on eBay or through secondhand for higher than normal. And then you got vendors, third-party vendors that are even on Newegg. So it's not Newegg selling some of these GPUs. It's actually third-party vendors that are selling these GPUs at higher prices. And it's going to continue to happen until somehow the supply can equalize. And they just need to come at us with a whole bunch. Like they need to drop like 1 million GPUs in one thing so that way these scalpers overpay. And you know what's going to happen eventually, by the way. When these scalpers can no longer make a profit on these GPUs, the secondhand market is going to get flooded. It is going to get absolutely flooded. So just wait for that. And then you'll be able to buy a GPU for cheap. It may take a year, it may take 2 years. But yeah, some of these exorbitant prices that you might see even on Amazon or Newegg, may not actually be directly from them. So the point being is we got gamers hating on us. We got the Ethereum community hating on us. We got Nvidia and AMD trying to avoid us. And so this environment that I've grown to love is kind of becoming toxic, and I don't like that. So stay respectful. Don't attack the devs that disagree with you or the individuals that disagree with you. Regardless if their points are invalid or maybe not exactly educational or factual. Be respectful and use data to back up your argument. Don't just come at them and just say, screw you because of your stance. Everybody has their own opinion. They're welcome to it. Don't let it get to you. Don't let the crypto mining environment that I've grown to love, where it's a community, right? Chris and I will talk and we'll work together on a particular problem till we get to a solution. I will work with Bits. I will work with Red. Hey guys, this is the data I got. I like this community that we have. Let's not let it turn toxic just because of this Ethereum discussion. It's really disappointing, especially when you go back and look at this tweet, all the negativity that we're seeing. But that's just my heartfelt thoughts on this particular situation. I don't want to see the community that I love turn into some toxic wasteland where everybody's dissing each other, disrespecting each other, and just spreading more and more hate. Security is important. They heard our voice, and that's the problem. They didn't give us a voice in the meeting. They didn't give Chris a time of day in the meeting. They didn't give Bits Be Trippin' a time of day in the meeting. They didn't listen to the information they wanted to present. They needed more time, but instead it was like different people hit them with certain situations or questions. Oh, by the way, you got 2 minutes to answer all of it. Like, what? I need more time to do this. So we got our point out there. If I would have done it like this, maybe not. I would have done it a little bit differently. But either way, the point was heard. Bits is offering a proposal. He's working with Micah. Whether or not it will be accepted is yet to be seen. But we'll see how things go. We just keep mining. Keep securing the network. And if you feel that Ethereum is no longer something you want to participate in, there's plenty of projects that you can switch to. Otherwise, if some of the pools you don't like to support, head on over to flexpool.io. There's other alternatives, right? If Ethereum goes down, it's not the end of the world. If Ethereum no longer is mineable, it is not the end of the world. There are other alternatives out there. We will all be okay. I promise you. But yeah, don't stop feeding into the negative energy that's been going out there. Chris, you got any closing arguments or words that we didn't talk or discover or cover?
I think one thing needs to be pointed out here. Everyone sees 2.0 as the death of POW mining, but I don't see it as a death at all. I think there's going to be a lot of other coins, and not just that. ETH itself is talking about having a sidechain post-merge. So we have no idea if 2.0 is actually going to be the death. I think mining is going to continue, and it's going to continue for a long time, because people are always going to say, I have money and I want to make my own coin that's going to be successful. And people are going to look at coins like ETH and others and going to say, I'm going to put some money towards this. I'm going to get miners and I'm going to replicate the formula and do it better. I don't see mining actually dying in my lifetime, to be honest. Because there's always going to be someone that's going to say, I'm going to make the new crypto.
And I like new projects. I think the biggest thing right now is use cases. There's a lot of crypto out there, a lot of what they call SHIT coins, and not too many use cases. You can improve transaction times and reduce fees and be super fast, but it's really going to come down to how can the blockchain and how can this cryptocurrency assist us. And when we were talking about layer 2, right, there's other, like you said, I think there's other alternatives out there, right? So Cosmos, and a host of other things. Didn't Matic just change to Polygon? Have you heard about that or no?
I apologize. I have not heard either of those ever.
Yeah, I think Matic changed to Polygon. So there's a number of choices that Ethereum can kind of incorporate to help reduce, improve things. But transaction fees are not going away. Transaction fees will continue to stay at the levels they are until ETH 2.0 comes out. Don't spread that misinformation around anymore. I know there's still going to be people that are going to think, hey, I'm all for EIP 1559. It's going to reduce fees. You miners are screwing it for me. That's not accurate whatsoever. But again, if you have to bump into that argument again, be respectful. I've been seeing people like Curse Mining, Mining Chamber, Red Panda, Savage Mine, Max Voltage. You guys have been educating or trying to educate individuals, providing misinformation in tweets. So I really appreciate that, and just keep doing that. Just stay respectful about it. You may be talking to a brick wall. It may not really sink in but all we can do is try to educate and try to help other people. So MEV seems to be something really nice, actually. It sucks that I didn't know about it till quite recently, but I want to get my hands on some of these transactions. So I may shift some of my miners over to Flexpool. I don't know the other pools that might have it. Maybe I might pick your ear offline. But it's interesting the shaping of the ecosystem and how this has changed. I wasn't expecting this to blow up as much as it was. Were you, Chris?
I'll be honest. We just made the statement because we were upset about 1559. We had no idea that there was actually just so much anger in the community, and I think what happened is that Ethermine, I do want to give a shout out to Ethermine because they actually opposed 1559 last year quite a bit, and others were upset about 1559, but it's really our announcement that really just brought everyone together, and a lot of people began saying, what is this? Why is this happening? And I think it was actually just on the down low before until we actually mentioned it to everyone. Mm-hmm. No one had actually really talked about it. And once people began talking about it, people began taking notice. And actually the developers themselves, I think they were surprised that miners opposed 1559. I don't think they actually understood that that we don't like it. So they actually opened up a channel for us to discuss with them. So I know it seems like no one else cares about miners except miners, but actually they've been quite nice to us, and I think if we work with them, there's a good chance we'll get an EIP that actually balances out a bit of the loss. So 1559 is always going to cost us something, but at least the cost might not be as big if we keep through our negotiations.
Right. And that's even if Ethereum's motives and mindset was to always switch to proof of stake, they should continue to work with us until they actually switch to proof of stake. Don't belittle us and disrespect. Just work with us. We're all people. We're all adults. Let's just talk. See how it goes. But give me time of day to talk. So we'll see how things go. Keep an eye on Bits Be Trippin' and EIP. Let's see here. Replaced by. Here's a new one right here. Boom. I'll post that in the live chat. And we're getting ready to get out of here, guys. I thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry that I got interrupted by my work, but I'm on call. I got to handle some business after the stream. Hope you got some educational information out of this video. Also, if you haven't checked it out, or if you haven't noticed, I upgraded. The quality of the video should be a lot better. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, whether you're watching live or later on. Definitely voice your opinion down in the comments. I always appreciate it. And I think we're going to get out of here. So, Chris, I thank you so much for joining me. I hope you continue to, make implementations and continue to grow Flexpool and help grow Flexpool and keep voicing and talking, and we'll get heard, and eventually hopefully we can get something in the middle. We may not get the compromise we want, but we'll get a compromise, and I know that's the word that my buddy Seth from Mind Your Biz told me never to use, but we need some type of mutual gain, so to speak. We may get the short end of the stick, but at least we get part of it.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been a fan for a very long time. Yeah,
and I appreciate your support and everything, man. It's good to catch up with you. I'll be talking to you on the Discord, and we'll catch up again later.
Sure.
So,
have a good day. Good luck dealing with your emergency call.
Yeah. I'll deal with that in a second. It's always fun. All right, guys. So thank you again for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Again, sorry for the interruption midstream, and I'll catch you guys later on. Take care. This live stream was also sponsored by dogelord.com. Links are in the description below, where you can go ahead and pick up any merch from Red Panda Mining, DCA Adventure, myself, and many others. Check it out down below.